Hey, okay, so it's been a while since I've talked about a video game. And so I decided it's high time that I do that. I don't even remember. I think the last time was when I talked about those, um, well, I don't even remember. I don't remember what I talked about. But it's been a long time since I talked about an actual video game. So we're nearing Halloween. And so this is a video game that I've mentioned quite a bit. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I actually made a pattern from this game because I love Elvira. I absolutely do. I grew up watching her. I actually remembered because her birthday was not too long ago, a couple days ago. And I mentioned how I remember seeing the cardboard cutout of her near the beer displays in the grocery store, and I remember seeing all the commercials for her and everything. Yeah, I grew up watching her and saw her on TV. I remember when she was on Tales from the Crypt. And so yeah, she's been a big part of my childhood. And I love her because well, I could go on, but I'm not gonna do that. That's not what this video is about. It's about her video game. I highly recommend you watch the movie with the same title. And super, super fun. So, the video game is a survival horror, much like Friday the 13th and that sort of thing. The style of the game is like a mix of first person shooter role playing game, a point and click adventure game. When I look at the screenshots, I kind of get a flavor of like Carmen Sandiego meets horror, because it's got like the window with the frame with a bunch of stuff around it, like what you need and everything, which is what I grew up on with Carmen Sandiego. And I know that Carmen Sandiego changed dramatically after 2000. So but anyway, when it comes to Elvira, the video game, the platforms were like Amiga, Atari, Commodore 64, which if that is said wrong, please don't hesitate to correct me, and MS-DOS. This was released in 1990, and the idea of the game is it's following the events of the film, which I didn't know that. I've never played this game. I kind of remember when it came out, but I mainly remember seeing her on TV and seeing I remember in the arcade her pinball game, wanting to play it. Yeah, I'd be at the mall and with some friends, and the older kids were always on that pinball game. And I guess that she had just released another one. And but anyway, so the 1988 film, the video game is following the events of the film. After the death of her Uncle Vincent, Elvira has inherited the castle and has restored it to its former glory, um, planning to turn it into a tourist attraction for horror fans. However, while doing this, Elvira has inadvertently awakened a horde of monstrous followers of her distant ancestor, the powerful Wicked Witch Imelda. The player's character has been called upon to help Elvira to help her prevent the resurrection. So pretty much what the character does is gathers up all this stuff that Elvira tells you to do. Puzzles are solved by using some items in the correct situations. The player can be killed if incorrect procedures are done or face hostile encounters unprepared. When faced with an enemy, the gameplay mode will switch to combat mode. How well the player does defeating an opponent depends on various conditions. Strength increases damage done. Resilience helps the player withstand damage. Dexterity increases the chance to hit the opponent. Skill helps the player make better use of weapons and shields. Life is how many hit points the player has before being killed by an enemy. Better swords and shields improve the player's fighting and defensive abilities. When attacking an enemy, the player must choose and time will a hacker slash attack. And basically, the player is navigating around a castle and everything else. I mean, you're just going through the castle, gathering up all the stuff that Elvira needs to stop this resurrection from happening, because she's kind of in a tight spot. She can't go anywhere. They want her. And now when you look up this game and you see the screenshots, when I say gory, I mean gruesome gory. I haven't seen I haven't seen gameplays yet, but that doesn't mean anything. It's possible that there are people on YouTube that have played this game, so I'm sure that you can find someone playing this game on YouTube. And but yeah, very gory. When I was trying to find something, like for the pattern, I'm like, oh, okay, because ghouls and goblins and Castlevania, and so you see like the spatter and everything, but hers is a whole other level. So I expect that. Elvira was well received by critics. Computer Gaming World in 1991 praised the game's graphics and music, stating that it was, like its namesake, something to notice for many of us. The graphics were praised by a lot of gaming magazines and critics. One critic stated that the game was not easy and concluded it's definitely worth playing. It won the magazine's 1991 Role-Playing Game of the Year award. So it got extremely high praise, and it also in 1991 received a sequel. Then the sequel is Elvira 2, The Jaws of Cerberus. And which I'm not as familiar with. I haven't seen as much for it, but I will talk about it. And so the plot of the game is the main character is Elvira's boyfriend, whose mission is to save Elvira, captured by the demon Cerberus, who wants to use her magical power for his own aims. The player seeks Elvira in a horror movie studio where the props and movie sets have turned into actual monstrosities. Oh, this could be a fun game. Apparently as a result of building the studio on haunted grounds. Well, and the platforms are the same, Amiga, Atari, ST. Atari ST. I think that's the same for the last one as well. Commodore 64 and MS-DOS. I would so play this game to death. And Elvira 2 takes place in first-person perspective. It looks the same. The screenshot looks the same and everything. The player can move forward and backward, or turn right, left, or backward by clicking on one of the arrows. Rather than being truly 3D, the game simulates the player's views by using a large amount of 2D images which depict the rooms and corridors. So it's not, it looks like it's not the same as Elvira 1. And out of the 4 areas of the game, 2 of them have more adventure elements, which is the main building and the haunted house, focusing mainly on collecting useful items and problem solving, while the others are similar to a classic dungeon crawl. So what was the reception for this game? The game was reviewed in '92. The reviewers gave the game a 5 out of 5 stars. The reviewers felt the game was truly engrossing, exciting, and jam-packed with horror. From the opening screens, you'll be on the edge of your seat trying to rescue the beloved Elvira. This is a must purchase. The computer gaming world was unable to finish Elvira 2 because of unwinnable elements that occurred without warning, and a flawed save feature that would have forced her to replay most of the story. Okay, she concluded that the game was a grave disappointment. In 1993, she called the game surprisingly bad, best avoided. Oh, okay. An incredibly tedious hack and slash with poorly designed adventure puzzles. So it had a glitch, it sounds like. But you know, like I said, Infernal Machine had a glitch. And oh, we hated that. I think it was chapter 7 or chapter 8 had a massive glitch. Oh, it was awful. But anyway, yeah, it looks like the screenshot looks like it's created the same way as Elvira 1, but from what I'm reading, it's not. You know, like the point and click, all of that. But from what I'm reading, it's not. But anyway, it sounds like there was a massive glitch with it and everything. It sounds like a lot of fun. Very creative. So that's Elvira 2. And then, of course, Elvira 1 was the tourist type idea for for the castle, and then all of a sudden shenanigans. So anyway, I thought that I would talk about these two. Well, the first one anyway, and I never really looked at Elvira 2, and but I've mentioned Elvira's game, and thought I would talk about it here. And I have used it for, like I said, for a pattern, and I've been thinking about stitching it again. I probably won't. But anyway, if you've never seen her movie, I highly recommend you do. It is so silly. It is just a silly movie. So anyway, yes, I'm a big Elvira fan. So anyway, those are her two video games. I will try to find somewhere, if I can find someplace on YouTube that they are playing, that someone is playing it, I will of course put it in the description so you can watch it. And because I did try to find it before doing this video, but didn't find anything. But that doesn't. But once I find it, I will of course put it in the description. But anyway, so those are the Elvira video games. They were released in 1990 and 1991.